What's going on? So, my lighting kit almost fell over, but it didn't, at least not yet. So I'm going to try to get through this as fast as possible. I think this video will help absolutely every single person that watches it. I'm quite proud of this rant I've gone on. If you're new to this channel, which you most likely are considering this is my first video I've ever posted, this channel is pretty much dedicated to long-form content that is beneficial to just about anyone. And the advice I give, I would assume, will inevitably be timeless. And I, once again, believe that anyone can benefit from this video. It's a long one, so put your earbuds in, maybe go for a walk, play with your dog, rob a bank. I don't really care, so long as you give it a listen and you really try to take what I say and truly apply it to your life, because these are all things I have had to learn the hard way. And I think that if you can avoid having to learn them the hard way and just process and apply them now, you will be in a much better spot 5 years from now, let alone tomorrow. So thank you for watching. I really appreciate it, and enjoy the video. Very rarely do I ever wake up in the morning, consume a bunch of content, hours of scrolling through TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever it is, and then afterwards reflect and decide, I didn't just waste all my time. But not only did I not waste my time, I in fact feel worse than prior to doing all this scrolling. Before I opened my phone, I literally felt better than I did after putting my phone away, just to inevitably wait about 10-15 minutes until I get bored, anxious, perhaps both, and open my phone again and do the exact same thing. I don't know how many times I've simply gone to take a gnarly one in the bathroom, and I come out 3 hours later, my kneecaps are red, looks like I just got done blowing someone off, but in reality, I've just had my elbows on my knees for 3 hours scrolling through TikTok, watching people shake their ass, watching people shake their ass on a boat, watching people shake their ass in the bathroom on a boat. It's incredibly redundant. I don't learn anything from it. I don't even have anything to take away from it. I'm not even entertained. Slightly horny, maybe. But other than that, absolutely nothing. I'm not consuming anything of substance. So not only am I spending all my time doing this, and it's not making me happy, it's not entertaining me, but it's extremely toxic, because most of the time what I end up doing is comparing myself to whatever I'm seeing on social media, which usually, unfortunately, happens to not be my friends anymore. Do you guys remember when you were like 13 and you first got introduced to social media and the first thing you did was follow all your friends? You know what I'm saying? I don't know what the proper term is for that, but you at least felt some sense of community. Now, I almost never see any of my friends posting anymore. It's always the Kylie Jenner 1, 2, 3, 4, the Dan Bilzerian 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh look, this person's in a beef with this person's gonna box this person and make tens of millions of dollars. Meanwhile, I'm laying in my bed with a half hard on, depressed as fuck, dreading the day that my mom comes in my room and tells me to leave. Listen to this, okay? Let me set the stage. It's a beautiful Saturday morning, okay? Today is one of the only days you get where your mom doesn't come down knocking on the door saying, hey, it's time to go to school or work, perhaps both, okay? Today, you get to lay in bed, your sanctuary. Okay, it's so warm, so cozy. You remember the days when your mom would make you get up to go to school and you try to think of the 4th or 5th or 6th excuse to not go. Mom, my tummy hurts. Mom, my leg fell off. Mom, wait, don't pull the covers off, I'm pitching a tent. We've all been there, so long as you're male. You remember those days. Your bed was the greatest place in the world, especially in the morning, until you reach over and grab your cell phone. You start scrolling through TikTok, Instagram, you see what everyone else is doing, everyone else's highlight reels. Usually, it's not even your friends, not even people of any relevance to you. It's usually people across the world or in LA. Meanwhile, you're stuck in the Midwest. Oh no, I hate Ohio. I hate Missouri. It sucks here. There's nothing going on. No one wears Gucci. Where's the ocean? I'm pissed. After a few minutes or maybe even hours of scrolling through all of this, meanwhile laying in your soft sanctuary of a bed, suddenly your soft, cozy, warm sanctuary of a bed becomes hell on earth when you compare it to the guy you're seeing in Ibiza on a yacht surrounded by naked women. Okay, how would your bed ever compare to that? It can't. Obviously, every guy's going to want to be in that situation, but now that you know that there's some guy who's, of course, 1 in a billion out there that's literally doing it, you suddenly feel lesser. Suddenly, your cozy bed is no longer cozy. In fact, you want to get out of it because it's no longer good enough for you, knowing that someone across the world is on that yacht. Comparison is the thief of joy, and I understand that's one of those things you get told by your grandma, and then 5 minutes later, you're like, okay, Graham, I'll remember that, and then 5 minutes later you find out she's dead and you no longer care. I get it, trust me. This is something that I wish I had heard and actually applied to my life, actually tried to understand and dissect and then apply to the ways I was thinking, because of course, like most guys or most people in general, you hop on social media, you see Logan Paul, Floyd Mayweather, perhaps Logan Paul fighting Floyd Mayweather. You see these people with all this stuff, all these accolades, all this attention, these cool cars, nice houses, and you're like, wow, I want that too, because it's easy to do that. It's so easy to open your phone, look at someone's highlight reel, and decide, you know what, I want that too. But it's even easier to see that highlight reel, compare it to your own self, realize, wait a minute, obviously that doesn't compare to what I got going on day to day. Now I feel like crap. Now the mundanity of my day-to-day life that I thought was normal, that everyone experiences, which is true by the way, suddenly that mundanity is a plague. It's no longer normal. It's no longer just okay. It's more like, damn, this sucks, considering that someone out there that I'll likely never meet has it all. At least that's what I think. Okay, a really good example of this is perhaps Austin McBroom. You'll see him on a yacht. Oh my gosh, look at what all he's got going on. Man, he's on a yacht. I've been watching him for years. He lives right next to Kylie Jenner, got a beautiful family. He has it all. Until you realize he's being sued by about 30 people because, long behold, he throws a boxing match with TikTokers, and oh my gosh, who would have ever guessed it? But, excuse me, no one gives a flying fuck about TikTokers enough to spend $50 to watch them beat the shit out of each other. I mean, wow. Who would have thought? But that's besides the point. What I'm saying is, on camera, you see him on the yacht with the gold chains on, looking good. But off camera, he's being sued left and right. He's stressing. But you would never know that. You'll never see that. There's a countless number of examples just like this, but you've got to ask yourself, and I really hope you are, because this is something that I had to ask myself growing up. Growing up, I wanted to be a YouTuber. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to sit in my room, never have to leave the house, never smell dirt, never see a tree, never get hit by the sun and hiss. I just wanted to sit in my room and make videos, make people laugh, and live my life in just pure pride and glory. Okay, that's all I wanted. But as I got older, as I started to actually pursue that, take the necessary steps to get there, I started to realize, maybe this isn't all it's cracked up to be. Maybe there's a reason that every time I'm following a rich and famous YouTuber that seems to have it all, they inevitably make the video, I'm sorry, ... my depression, ... we need to talk, ... They're crying in the thumbnail, the outsides of the thumbnail are dark, so you're focused on their tears on their face. Okay, trust me, don't get me wrong, I've done it. I've experienced this for myself. This social media shit is not what it's cracked up to be, but you would never know that because you do not have the necessary context required to truly understand. You are supposed to buy into the idea that, hey, this is amazing, this is great, this is quote-unquote motivational. The biggest, fattest piece of bullshit I've ever seen when someone puts a Lamborghini on their Instagram page and tries to justify the douchebaggery by saying it's motivation. Okay, bitch, look, you're not Meek Mill. You're not Meek Mill. He did that in like 2012 and it was cool, but now every motherfucker in LA's got a yacht. Every motherfucker's got a bright blue Lamborghini. We don't need to see yours. If we needed that motivation, we'd find it elsewhere. Give us something with some substance. Teach us something. Show us you care. Of course, most of these people have absolutely no idea how to do so, but it'd be nice. Look, guys, it's extremely easy to see someone on social media and assume they have it all. That their lives are perfect. You see what they have, you compare it to what you've got, and you no longer think, oh my gosh, what I've got is okay. It's so easy to do that, and it's so toxic and painful, and I get it. Trust me, I get it. You're never seeing the negative parts of their lives, and believe me, they're there. I'll never forget when I first started meeting famous, rich YouTubers, and they had the exact same problems that you and I have had. The exact same problems I've had even before I made a little bit of money on YouTube, even before I started making videos, even after I quit making videos. They have the exact same problems as you and I. They might be a little different, they might be a little more extreme, a little less extreme, but at the end of the day, we all have problems. So assuming that someone's life is perfect is not only totally irrational, but it's a complete and utter waste of time. because not only is, like I said, it irrational, it makes no sense, but it's damning to you. It is going to hold you back. When you consider what you want to do throughout your day-to-day, you're going to have a hard time deciding what that is, considering you know that no matter what you do, you're most likely not going to be on that yacht. So not only is it hurting your feelings, it's also holding you back. And that is toxic. Now let's talk about how to understand and process in a healthy way the constant comparison that you are bound to experience, most likely for the rest of your life. Anyone that thinks that you can just suddenly one day snap your fingers and all your problems are solved, you only care about yourself, you don't care what anyone else is doing, that's absolutely ludicrous. It's not going to happen, unfortunately. If I could hand you a pill and you could swallow it and suddenly be focused on yourself, your grind, your mission, your goals, and not let anyone else interfere, I would do it, but that doesn't exist. The number one way to help avoid the toxicity that comes along with comparing yourself to others is understanding the fundamental fact that no one has the context to understand and judge you other than yourself. You are your only comparison. You are your only competition, because only you have all the context, how you were raised, the food you're eating, the opportunities you have, the cards you've been dealt. You are the only person that truly understands that. So as long as you make yourself the enemy, quote, but also maybe the motivator, maybe the friend, treat yourself right, because you recognize that you are the only person that could ever understand where you're coming from. You can have a 3-hour talk with someone across the table. They will have absolutely no idea who you are internally. And I think this is something that we forget far too often. You know, we'll hear a bad rumor about us. Someone said this about us. Someone commented this about us. Someone said this on this YouTube video, and I, for whatever reason, have convinced myself that it applies to me, and now I feel like crap. We like to, for whatever reason, think that everyone else's opinions of us is what should be the real me. I worded that terribly. Let me try again. We like to think that the average of what everyone around us is saying about us is truly us. You know, if everyone around you is saying you're a worthless loser, guess what? You're probably going to feel like a worthless loser. But why do they think that? Oh, because you don't play sports in high school? Because you don't have straight A's? Little do they know, you're on your grind. You're working on your YouTube channel in the dark while everyone else is out partying, drinking, doing homework, maybe playing sports, whatever it is that they're doing. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean they're doing anything bad. You just happen to be on your own grind. But since no one's seeing that, they assume you're a loser. I literally experienced that my entire high school. All my high school years. I never played a sport really. I got bad grades. And the majority of people, I'm sure, were wondering, what the hell is he gonna do? I guarantee you now, at this point in life, a lot of those motherfuckers are wishing they did what I did. I promise you. I wasn't playing sports and I wasn't getting good grades. Most people had absolutely no idea what I was up to, but I knew what I was up to. I knew that I had a dream. I knew I had something to accomplish, and I knew that every single day I was getting closer and closer to that. At the same time, had I let what everyone else thought of me affect me and become my reality, oh, he doesn't get good grades, he's not doing anything with himself, he's a loser, I would be convinced I was a loser, and I would have stopped pursuing my dream. They thought I was a loser because they lacked the proper context to know exactly what I was up to. But me, being the only person with that context, knew that I wasn't a loser, and it was that knowledge that allowed me to move forward because I was confident I was going in the right direction. You've got to listen to that again. I don't think I could have worded that any better. I'm sure I could have, but I'm going to pretend I couldn't because I thought that was beautiful. You've got to be the director of your own film and the main character at the same time. No one else is the main character, but also understand that you can't be the main character of anyone else's story. You can only be the main character of your own story, so you might as well focus on making your story the best story it can possibly be. And that doesn't necessarily mean jewelry, yachts, fast cars, mansions. That means being the best version of you, because being the best version of you will allow you to derive the most happiness out of life. I guarantee you there's a lot of people in LA hopping in their Lamborghini and crying. I don't know why they're crying. I don't really feel like asking them. But but I guarantee you there's a lot of people out there doing that. And that does not mean that there's a lot of people that are hopping in their piece of crap car and crying, and that's different. It's the same thing. All I'm saying is most people unfortunately assume that once they get these things that they see other people on Instagram having, that their problems will be solved and their life will be better, when in reality that's not true at all. Comparing yourself with your neighbor is absolutely necessary. When we were developing, trying to fight off the manatee, or no, not the manatee, what are those things, the big ginormous elephant, the Ice Age, think Ice Age. What are those called? Manatee, mammoth, oh my gosh. The mammoth, when we were fighting off the mammoth, we had to work together. We had to be a tribe. You had to constantly be comparing yourself and learning from other people around you. Hey look, my neighbor ate that frog and he died. Hey look, my other neighbor ate the other frog and he saw God tripping balls. Maybe I'll eat that another day, but not today. Hey look, my neighbor made a sharper spear. I want to learn how to make that sharper spear. It was necessary for survival. However, it's not necessary to know what's going on halfway across the world on a yacht in Ibiza. You know what I'm saying? Now that we've established that this way of thinking is natural and what you're seeing on Instagram is most likely not as it really is, we can now talk about the most important thing anyone can do to not only improve their quality of life, but also, just as it relates to this video, get over the constant comparison between other people, and that is practicing gratitude. Gratitude and celebrating other people's success. When you hop on Instagram and you see what's his name and he seems to have everything you'd ever want and more, rather than feeling envious, which is natural and okay to an extent, try to feel, a sense of almost motivation or happiness for that person. Rather than saying, ugh, he's got the Lamborghini I want. Say, wow, he got the Lamborghini. This is how he did it. That means I can do it too. Maybe I'll get a different color. Maybe I'll meet him one day. Maybe I'll learn from him. Use what he has accomplished as motivation, as inspiration. Be excited that perhaps you'll get there one day. And maybe you can even get there easier because you can learn from his mistakes. If you want to be the next biggest YouTuber fighting Floyd Mayweather, maybe don't film a dead body. Write that down. Quickly, jot it down. Add it to the list of things not to do. You can take these people and instead of just seeing them as a toxic ball of envy and jealousy, maybe try to apply what they've done or what they've messed up or what they've accomplished, what they have, and try to apply that to your life and learn from it so that way you can live a easier life in the process of getting there. And I'm sure I could have explained that slightly better. I was a little all over the place. But hopefully you understand what I'm saying is that instead of seeing someone and simply being envious and hating them for what they have and what you don't have out of insecurity, instead be inspired, be excited, learn from them, see that as proof it's possible rather than a toxic ball of envy that keeps you held down. That is the absolute worst thing you can do. Every minute you spend looking at what someone else has, comparing what you have to someone else, is a minute wasted. But not only wasted, a minute spent in toxicity that will exhaust you and keep you from getting what you want in life. And the closer you get to what you want in life, the quicker you'll most likely realize, wait a minute, this isn't all I thought it was going to be. Maybe I can go this direction instead. Maybe that means I won't ever own a Lamborghini, but if I can make that sacrifice for a better life, perhaps it's worth it. And then you'll reflect, looking back at your 16, 17, 18-year-old self as a 24, 25-year-old and think, damn, I really regret every minute I spent thinking that I needed this bright blue fucking water behind my house and big ass mansions to be happy, because that was time wasted when I could have been spending that time focusing on myself, learning about myself, growing as a person. Let me tell you a specific example that applies to me. In high school, I was on my grind and very materialistic. I wanted the cool cars and everything I've mentioned 1,000 times throughout this video, and I would spend hours in school looking at cars on Car Gurus. Meanwhile, during study hall or during lunch, all my friends are laughing with each other, joking, having a good time, making memories. I'm over here with my thumb up my ass, looking at cool cars I'll most likely never own. And even if I do attain that wealth, I'll never buy them anyway, because I recognize it's kind of dumb and I don't have the balls to. It's a total waste of time. I'm anxiously sitting here looking at things I'm somehow convinced I want so bad. This is going to make my life so much better, so much more exciting. Meanwhile, everyone around me doesn't care, and they're having a much better time than I am. Does that not seem extremely ironic, but also stupid? If I could go back, I would delete all that time. I wish I could go back and instead of using all that time to look at, Porsches, Lamborghinis on car gurus while everyone else is having a good time laughing, enjoying their high school experience because they most likely recognize it's going to be gone soon. I wish I could go back and laugh with them. Prank my friends, play a joke on the teacher, whatever it was. I would have much rather been able to say I did that than spent all this time obsessing over cars that I saw what's-his-face on YouTube have, and he seems to have everything I want, so now I'm convinced I need that, so I'm going to waste all my time looking at it. It's gross, man. It really is. And you don't want to look back on your past and realize you wasted so much time that you could have spent getting closer to your true inherent goals and dreams and passions, and you just spent it looking at what other people had, thinking that that's what you want too. Because you got to recognize everyone's different. Everyone has different needs and wants. Okay, not everyone. Do you realize monks do not care what you have? They don't. My grandma doesn't care that I have a cool truck. I remember when I bought my truck. I have a Ford Raptor, for those of you wondering. And I remember when I showed it to my grandpa, thinking he was going to be like, wow, you made it. He did not care. He honestly just thought it was stupid I spent that much money on it. And at the time I was kind of pissed off. But in hindsight I realized it's because he has the perspective and years of life to know that this shit is dumb. It really is. All that time, all my high school years, comparing my car, perfectly fine car, gets from point A to B in no time, easy peasy, great gas mileage. But every minute I spent in that car, I spent wishing I had a different one. So instead of enjoying and appreciating the car I had, I was actually sad and miserable, thinking I needed the other car, just to inevitably get that car one day and realize I wasted all that time being miserable when I could have been just as happy with the original car. Now I'd like to talk about two of my most toxic traits that you might relate to. One of which being when I'm looking at what someone else has accomplished or what they have, I tend to immediately forget what I've accomplished and what I have. Let's say I win state champs, but someone else wins the World Cup. That has nothing to do with me. It doesn't decrease the significance of winning state. However, for whatever reason, suddenly winning state isn't that cool. Despite the fact that when I won state, it was one of the greatest days of my life. Everyone was so proud and excited, and we partied hard that night and many nights to come. But that doesn't matter, knowing that the guy that won the World Cup most likely partied harder. People were more proud, more people saw it. It's an ego thing. Extremely toxic and unnecessary, and something you definitely need to recognize. But just because you recognize it's unnecessary and toxic doesn't mean you can snap your fingers and make it go away. I wish that was the case, because this is something that has really bothered me. I remember when I hit 1 million subscribers on YouTube. Oh my gosh, I've made it. But that only lasts a short while, knowing that someone else has 2 million subscribers. It doesn't affect the 1 million being any less or more significant, but for whatever reason, it makes me feel like it's less significant. Meanwhile, all my friends can't believe it. I'm the first person out of my city to make a YouTube channel this big. I get my gold play button, something I've dreamed of for literally 10 years, since I was in grade school, since YouTube first became a relevant thing. And yet, for whatever reason, I have no time to enjoy it because I know damn well that there's someone else out there with more. There's this beautiful J. Cole song called Love Yours, where he talks about, quote, there's always gonna be a badder bitch out there on the tour. Fuck, I fucked that up. You know what I'm saying though. He says something along the lines of, always gonna be a bitch that's badder out there on the tour, but you ain't ever gonna be happy till you love yours. I'm not a rapper. I don't consider myself one. If that made you cringe, I don't blame you. But the sentiment is there. The meaning is there. You're never gonna be happy until you appreciate and love yours. There's always something better out there. Believe that. Believe that. That is one of the most difficult realizations I've had to come to. I mean, really. Because you always think, I'll get to this point and I'll be happy. I'll get this and I'll be happy. I'll accomplish this and I'll be happy. This person will say this to me. This person will love me. This person will want to fuck. And suddenly I'll be happy. When in reality, that couldn't be any further from the truth. You are only going to be happy when you truly love yours. Truly love what you have. And it is so easy to see what someone else has and forget what you have. If you take a millionaire, but you surround them with billionaires, that millionaire is going to feel lesser of himself than he would if you were to throw him in some impoverished area where he's now a king in comparison to the people around him. But when he's surrounded by billionaires, that doesn't matter. He feels like crap. He's just desperate to become a billionaire like them. But it's inevitable that by the time, if he does somehow manage to become a billionaire, all the other billionaires have either realized this isn't what it all was, what they thought it would be, or they're multi-billionaires. So you're in this constant rat race trying to keep up, when in reality there's no end goal. That's finite thinking. There's no end goal. There's no satisfaction in that in the long term. You're going to inevitably get there or not get there and be depressed, or inevitably get there and be disappointed and then be looking for the next thing. Do you want to spend your whole life like that? Is that fair to yourself? You're supposed to be your best friend. You're supposed to be your most valid critic. Your best friend is usually the type of person with the most valid criticism of you because they know you best. Would you want your best friend to suffer for no reason? That's not fair to them. That's incredibly toxic, so why would you do that to yourself? Don't you realize that that is just maddening? It makes no sense, but it's crazy because I've done it for years, and I will most likely fight this for the rest of my life, and you most likely will too. But demonizing this idea of constant, oh, I'm not as good, and thinking that that thought makes you any lesser because you think that way in the first place is also toxic. It's this complete, utter circle jerk of toxicity. So the quicker that you can immediately practice gratitude and pride in what you're doing, and understanding that you are your only valid critic, you're your only valid, true best friend, you need to treat yourself right because it will give you the best chance at a happy life, the better, because it will allow you to move forward and learn for yourself that whatever it is that you're comparing yourself to is most likely not all it's cracked up to be. Now let's talk about the best thing that you can do to avoid the sense of comparison and also get you to a point where you're almost invulnerable to it because you are so far on your grind. You have been on the right road, you've made the mistakes, you've learned from them, you're pushing forward. Have you ever noticed that the billionaire CEOs don't drive Lamborghinis? They're not wearing gold chains. Elon Musk lives in a $50,000 400 square foot house on his Tesla site. He's a multi-billionaire. In fact, he's the second most richest at least publicly rich person on the planet. And he lives in a smaller house than I do. Now I feel like a piece of shit, but that's not the point. But I'm going to tell you, the best way to avoid all of this, or to at least suppress it in a way that is healthy and beneficial to you, is to be as proactive as possible. When you wake up in the morning, don't grab your phone and immediately compare yourself to everyone else. That's not fair to you, it's extremely toxic, and it's certainly not fair to everyone around you that's rooting for you for the best. They want you to succeed. It's not fair for anyone, it's a terrible idea. So rather than hopping on your phone, get up, take a shower, get yourself primed and ready to go. Maybe read a little bit of a book, listen to a little bit of a podcast. Get on your grind, go and work. I'm not trying to come off as some coked out Gary Vaynerchuk or anything, but I'm trying to tell you what I've learned from experience. The best thing you can do is wake up in the morning, read a book, listen to a podcast, eat a nice, healthy, natural meal, go work out. Get yourself primed and ready to go so you can carry that confidence with you for the rest of the day and start getting closer and closer in small increments to your goal. Because only then will you be able to derive the confidence and self-respect and self-internal pride that will allow all this bullshit going on in the world to not have as much of an effect on you. The proud man doesn't fall for things like, how to get rich quick schemes, girls with big boobies. They're not on TikTok scrolling through it, looking at people shaking their asses. They're not. A proud, confident person doesn't fall for those things. And I hope that you are able to consider that when you think about what it is you spend your time doing. And I guarantee you a lot of you are considering, well, it's going to be really hard. It's going to be very difficult. It's going to be painful. Yes, it is. Yes, of course. But imagine not trying. Doesn't that sound more painful in the long run? If you start working out tomorrow, yes, you're going to be sore. Yes, obviously. You are going to be sore. You're going to be in pain. It's going to be awkward. You're not going to know anyone at the gym. You're most likely not even going to know what you're doing. But eventually, that's not going to be the case. Eventually, you're going to go to the gym, and you're going to look pretty good. You're certainly going to feel better. It'll become a part of your routine. You won't even think about it. Meanwhile, you're benefiting from it every time for the rest of your life. And then you take that energy and that confidence and that momentum and you apply it to other parts of your life. You start working on whatever it is you want to do. You finally get on the right path and you're confident in it and you're moving forward, full steam ahead. And when you're at that point, you don't feel this, you don't feel the need to check Instagram to see what else someone else is doing when you're busy on your own grind. You're not so easily distracted. You are not so easily distracted. When you're happy and you're proud and you're taking the necessary steps to get there, you are not as easily distracted. To summarize this whole video, comparison is natural. You're supposed to do it. But it's extremely toxic. Instead of hopping on Instagram in the beginning of the day, go and do something. Prime yourself for the rest of the day. Get on track. And then every other point I ever made throughout this entire video. But I hope it helped. I think I made a lot of good points. If you made it this far, I appreciate you listening to what I had to say. The end.